Let's get some response to that from car finance expert Anders Nielsen joins us. Hello, Anders.
Hello, hello.
Hi. What do you understand from this ruling in terms of who will qualify and who won't?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's been a long time coming. People have just wanted clarity, really. And I guess the key thing, like you mentioned at the start there, is that the total bill, or the amount going back into people's pockets who are eligible, is about 7.5 billion. So no small change, really. I think the key thing is that people need to know they don't need to do anything immediately. They don't need to go and use claims management firms or anything like that. They can keep that money for themselves and wait for their lenders to contact them, or lodge a complaint now if they feel that that's what they want to do.
Yeah. I've got a text here. I've got a couple of texts, actually, I might as well put to you. Andy says, missold car finance, do you have to claim for it, or will you qualify automatically as they will have your details, or is it your details? Sorry, then that sort of gets a bit, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, you get the gist. I think you sort of got into that, didn't you? Are we expecting the companies to contact the customers? Is that how we're expecting that system to work then?
Yeah, so my understanding is that the onus is on the lenders to contact the customers and flag to them where they believe they may be eligible for compensation under this framework. Of course, you can be proactive as a customer and complain to car finance firms that you've had in the past, because if you lodge a complaint, they do have to take that seriously and do some investigation for you. But the key thing, and I think this was reiterated strongly by the FCA, is that you don't need to use a claims management firm or these companies that will essentially take a cut of your eventual payout, up to 30%, I believe. You can do it yourself for free. And you
don't think there's any circumstances in which those companies would make it easier?
I mean, in general terms, I don't think so. I mean, there may be some edge cases where that could be the case, but I think, as the FCA has said, the main thing here is that people can do this themselves. The whole point of designing this redress scheme, and why it's taken so long to get to where it is, I believe, is to make it as easy as possible for consumers who were affected to get the compensation they're owed.
Yeah. Do you think generally the lenders, is it a kind of bang to right situation? Do you think what's your view on whether they have been misleading to customers? Do they deserve to be paying out all of this money, do you believe, or not?
I mean, there's been a lot of focus on past practices, and there were some past practices that were, banned by the FCA, such as these so-called discretionary commission arrangements, where the amount you eventually paid was tied to the interest rate that you were charged, and a higher interest rate resulted in a larger commission. That's clearly unfair, and that's why they were banned in 2021. I think what matters now is making sure that this redress scheme is delivered clearly and fairly, so that drivers can be reassured that they can get fair car finance from now on. Because car finance is the most popular way for people to fund the purchase of cars, and they should be able to do that feeling secure about that decision.
I wonder if you know the answer to this question. Don't worry if you don't. Mark in Eastbourne. My father-in-law had multiple agreements during the car finance period. He died, sadly, 7 years ago. Obviously, the finance companies can't contact him, but can we claim on behalf of his estate?
That's a really interesting question.
Isn't it?
The truth is, I don't know the answer to that. It may be something that the FCA could provide some advice on, or even the financial ombudsman. But fair
enough. I don't mean to throw that on you, but you never know. Do you just hold on for 1 second, Anders, because I'm going to, and maybe I'll get your response to our next guest and what they're saying. Fletcher Mumford joins us, been trying to claim for missold car finance for more than 2 years. Hello, Fletcher.
Hello.
Hello. What happened to you then?
So basically, I've been trying to claim back on the missold car finance when I leased a car 2 years ago. And I filled out the form and got the email back saying that they've received my request. But ever since then, I've not heard anything from the lender at all.
Despite emailing, writing?
Yeah, emailing and phoning them as well. I've not had any meaningful information back.
Right. How many times have you tried them subsequently?
Email I've tried over 5 times, and I phoned them 2 or 3 times since as well.
Right, okay. And you've literally had no reply, not even a kind of standard, email that's bounced back saying we're dealing with multiple, efforts or whatever. You've had nothing.
Well, I get a generic email saying that they're they've got a high volume of people contacting them at the moment. But when I phone them, I get through to a person who can't really tell me any information, so I don't really get anything out of them.
Do you think that's just because, you know, they've been sort of trying to get their tents in a row before this has been decided today, and now today might move things on a little bit now that the industry is clearer?
I hope so, but it has been 2 years, and that does feel like a very long time to come to some sort of idea or decision that they have themselves on paying people.
Yeah, it does feel a wee while, doesn't it? Let me, well, it'd be nice if we had a car finance expert, wouldn't it? Anders Nielsen's still here. What do you think? Do you hear these stories, Anders? Is Fletcher alone here?
I don't think Fletcher's alone. So it's clearly very frustrating. From what I gathered from what Fletcher said there in his situation, sounds like he maybe asked about past agreements that he had and had some acknowledgement that it was received and the complaint was logged, but then silenced since. Now, that's not necessarily unusual, because during this process, the FCA did put a pause on how quickly car finance firms have to respond to customers who put in complaints related to motor finance compensation claims. And that's because they wanted to reduce the burden on the industry while this was being ironed out, so that customers were getting the right information in one go rather than drip fed. Basically best guesses. However, a little bit more communication wouldn't go amiss, of course. But what I'd say to Fletcher is that if he's got an acknowledgement from his providers, his finance companies, that they have acknowledged his complaint and logged it, then that will be logged and it will be picked up. And now that the framework has been outlined, the FCA should, well, it's clear that by summer this year, people should start getting their compensation and should start getting their decisions at least. So I'd say that hold on and wait for the responses, but there's no harm in a follow-up message just to make sure that it is actually on their list, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, Fletcher?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Make you feel a bit more optimistic? Maybe?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I'm just hoping I'm part of the 12 million.
Yes, indeed. And maybe a few £100, and then maybe you better get a tank of petrol or something like that in the not too distant future. But thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Fletcher, and to you, Anders. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
Anders Nielsen, car finance expert. Fletcher Mumford, hoping he's one of those